Hey designer, Alex here. Welcome to the channel. Happy New Year, happy holidays, happy Christmas, and I wish you luck, I wish you health, and I wish you more productivity in the next year of 2023. In today's tutorial, we are just going to do this one for fun, same like we did the previous year. We are going to use Adobe XD, some nice little cute animations, and also some Lottie files to spice it up using these snowflakes Lottie icons. So let's get started. Alright, so here is our practice file for today. It's currently blank and empty, but I'm going to add all of this stuff which I show you in the preview of this video. If you want to get this practice file, make sure to join my membership. And if you want to get these image assets and play around with them yourself, they are from Envato Elements, and I'm going to link the collection of these elements which I used for this particular tutorial if you want to check it out and get it on Envato Elements, same like all my other files which I used. So here we go. If we go to document assets, you can see that it's blank, but if I switch over to libraries, I have this Happy New Year library which I created for this particular tutorial, and I'm just going to right click and place linked. That way when I open this up later in Photoshop, I have some room to play around with this image if I so choose. So this is our first image, and here we have our snow back. I'm going to place linked in the background, and for the snow back perhaps I can use something like screen instead of normal. And then what I'm going to use is all of these elements, and I'm going to quickly place them in a group. So what I can do is link these trees. So I have a back tree, so place linked, and I'm going to place it right around here. I have my front tree, place linked, and I'm going to just position it roughly around here for now. Then what I'm going to do is maybe use these clouds. So let's go with left cloud, place linked, and it's going to be roughly around here. Then right cloud, place linked. So basically what you're going to do is go and assemble your final scene, how it's going to look like. Here I have a roof which I created in Photoshop, and right click, place linked for this Santa. Once again, all of these assets are from Envato Elements, and you can play around with these back elements. If I switch over to my layers panel and I found my trees, so I can nudge these trees a little bit to the right, and especially back tree, it doesn't have to be so prominent right here. Then the cloud perhaps can be here, so I can move the Santa just a tiny bit to here maybe, where this patch of snow is. And if I go back to my libraries once again, what I'm going to place next is this reindeer. So right click, place linked, and I'm going to nudge it roughly around here, then move this cloud so they don't clash. Right click and send backward 2 times. There we go. So it goes just behind this roof like so. And finally what we need is perhaps that text. So type in Happy New Year. Make sure all of them are center aligned, and I used Playfair Display, which is of course a free Google font, and I'm going to use bold, and let's click out of it and just enlarge it a lot by clicking this dot in the center. Perhaps position it right here and play around with the color, but I think white will look and work just fine for our particular example. Maybe we can make it a tiny bit larger to something like 130, and I think that's about it. So what I'm going to do at this point is place some snow on top of my elements, but before I do, I'm going to group all of these. So starting from the back tree all the way up to Happy New Year, hit Ctrl G to group them and call them elements. And then on top of these elements, I'm going to place the snow front, right click, place linked, and as you can see, it's a little bit darker. So once again, I'm going to head over to screen and lower down my opacity to something like 40 or 50%. Let's go with 40 just to give it that snow vibe a little bit. And finally, what I need are those icons. So I have the icon which I downloaded right here, and it's this snowflake icon. So if I go ahead and preview, you can see that it rotates around itself, kind of like that. So first thing I'm going to do is choose this option to play automatically, then head on over right here, hit Ctrl G and type in snowflakes. because I'm going to create a lot of them. And where I found this snowflake is using this plugin called Icon Scout, which is an amazing plugin for Lottie files and for icons and illustrations in general. And because I'm Lottie ambassador, I'm happy to recommend this because I use it all the time for my projects in person with my clients as well. So if I narrow it down and hold my shift key until I nudge it down in size to roughly around here, let's go Control Command 0 to snap back into place just a little bit, and maybe position it roughly around here. Now this is the boring and tedious bit, because right here what I'm doing is selecting them and duplicating them. So hit Control D to duplicate it. Just make sure when you do that the auto playing function or looping function is actually selected. So later down the line when you create these multiple copies, so let's go ahead and maybe enlarge this one just a touch, maybe place this right here and make it super small, then enlarge this just a little bit, perhaps use some of these bigger ones, maybe place them right here and right here, maybe narrow it down. Basically what you're doing right here is creating some sort of a mood and atmosphere. So depending on how crazy you want to go with this, you can place maybe 3 or 4, or you can go with 50 or 60. It doesn't really matter how many of these do you want to place, but in my case I'm just going to basically spread them apart a little bit and make my scene just a touch more interesting. Perhaps one can be on Santa's lap or his knee or something like that. One can be on top of his shoulder just a little bit, and you can see because I didn't use the real image of a Santa, this is actually a 3D model from Envato Elements, which I used for this particular example. Then this example with sort of maybe playful cartoony character actually works quite well in this case, because all of my elements, including the reindeer, are not really that lifelike, but maybe just more of 3D models or some sort of illustration or something like that. You can see that because I selected the repeat function, the loop function, actually on my first icon, all of them, no matter which one I select, are going to loop just nicely. So what we're going to do next actually is we are going to play around with some settings, and we are going to move these elements apart, because at this point our design has been completed. So what I'm going to do first, because as I mentioned we have these groups, we have what we need, what I'm going to do actually is hide them. So first things first, I'm going to move my snowflakes out of the way by simply holding shift and up arrow until they move just outside of frame, roughly around here. There we go. And you can play with the positioning even more to get that additional effect if you want to. And then I'm going to select all of my elements and simply move them far out of the way, like so, until you can just barely see them inside of the frame. And image I'm going to keep as it is. I'm going to hit Control D to create a new artboard with all of these elements in place. So if I select them, you can see how they look like. And all I want to do right here is select my background and try to select it from here and just move it up a little bit. Then duplicate this artboard, Control D once again. And in this one, what we will do is actually select some of those elements. So what I'm going to do is select my trees. So front tree, back tree, make sure to place them roughly around here. Then I'm going to select the roof and the Santa, like that, and place them where they were. There you go. And I'm also going to select that right cloud, for example. I think it's going to look quite nice there. And I'm going to stop there for this one, hit Control D one more time, and on this last one I'm going to go ahead and select that left cloud, place it just above the Santa, like that, and use my reindeer, place him roughly around here, then use the text for Happy New Year, and finally nudge all of these snowflakes icons down. So hold shift and bottom arrow until they move roughly into place somewhere around here, I would say. And then maybe you can play around with some additional positioning. Maybe you can nudge this one or move this one or do whatever you want with them. It's all up to you. The important thing is that they loop. Now that that's completed, what we can do is hit Control 0, go back to prototype, and here it's super straightforward. Just drag to this one instead of tap. I'm going to use the time trigger. Transition is going to be auto animate. Easing is going to be ease in out, because I want it to ease into the animation. I want it to ease out of the animation as well. 1 second, and then basically just go and duplicate, just drag, select this one and drag, and this is going to be our last one. Obviously you can add some navigation here if you want to. You can add some button to take you to another place if you want to create a real website, but as I said, this is just for fun. When I hit preview, you can see how it looks like. We have all of these elements popping into place, and we have crucially all of these Lottie icons animating and moving around just like this. Some of them are static, that's just XD's bug, but you can see 1, 2 I think are static from all of these icons. So you're going to have some bugs. If you find that these are static, maybe you can move both of them out of the way like I did for this one, or you can hide it behind this cloud, move the cloud up a little bit, do with them whatever you want, and this on Santa's shoulder is as well. So just play around and adjust those settings as well. So let's hit play one more time and see what we have. So sky is moving, elements are moving nicely into play. Of course, if you want longer duration, instead of 1 second, you can just use 2 or 3 seconds. So there we go. That's our tutorial for today. Quick and easy one. If you want to get these files, a link to Envato Elements collection is going to be in the description below. If you want to get this practice file as it is, make sure to join my membership on my website alexondesign.co. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I upload new videos all the time about UI UX design, Adobe XD, soon to come more Figma content on the channel as well. And until next time, Happy New Year, and I'll see you.